Welcome, neighbors. This video is going to cover the smoking of a pork loin on a Weber Smokey Mountain grill. Pork is a very affordable meat to begin your smoking, and often it is associated with barbecue. One of the cuts of pork that is not often smoked, or at least talked about, is the pork loin. It can have a tendency to be pretty dry when cooked, but it's an excellent candidate for smoking on your Weber Smokey Mountain grill or any other kind of smoker. So we're going to go ahead and get this pork loin opened up, trying to minimize the mess. I buy a lot of my meat at Costco. It's a pretty affordable way of getting the meat, and this pork loin is no exception. So we'll go ahead and lay this out, and really there's not much preparation that needs to be done to this meat. The fat, or the silver skin that's on the pork loin, isn't going to do much to add flavor or moisture to the meat. The meat itself is fairly lean. But we'll go ahead and remove a lot of the excess fat. It's not going to really allow the flavors of the smoke or the rub to penetrate. So we'll go ahead and get that all trimmed off. You want to remove a lot of the excess. It's okay to leave some in there. It'll render down a bit. But you can go ahead and take care of that. So this is kind of large to manage on the grill, so I'll go ahead and cut it in half. And now we're going to go ahead and put on our rub. We'll start with a slather. I'm using Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, you could easily use a mustard, for example. That would work great. It actually would go pretty good on a pork. You could use a hot sauce. Really, any kind of liquid that doesn't have an awful lot of sugar in it could be used for this. You could use even a beer, something like that, to get that on there. The primary purpose of the slather is to get the rub to stick. Now, the rub I'm using is a homemade rub. It's primarily, let's see what's in there. There's 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some paprika. The salt is a kosher salt, and the pepper is a coarse ground pepper. But we want to go ahead and get this covering the pork loin. You want to put it on, not too thick, but you want to get it to cover good coverage. You put the slather and the rub on both sides, making sure that you get the rub to cover not only the sides but the edges, and you want to create a full casing on it. You don't have to get crazy. It doesn't have to go on really thick. But this is where a lot of your flavor is going to come from. And it is a fairly thick cut of meat, so it can support a fair bit of rub. As you can see, I'm taking care to make sure that I get the edges as well as the sides. Now, this is not going to be a long smoke on the smoker. This will take somewhere between an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably closer to 2 hours at about 270 degrees. I like to use a applewood smoke. An oak smoke would go well with these. And you can refer to my video on how to get this Weber Smokey Mountain lit for reference on how to get this thing going. But it's up to temperature. I've got a temperature probe in there, and the grill is running at about 270 degrees. So we'll go ahead and place these on the grill. Want to put them down so you get a pretty good coverage and smoke circulation around the meat. I have a second probe here that I'll go ahead and stick inside the meat so I can monitor the internal temperature. We're going to want to be smoking these till they get to be about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about it. We'll go ahead and put the lid on here and let this thing cook. We'll check it in about an hour and a half. So That hour and a half has come and gone. Actually, about an hour and 45 minutes. We'll go ahead and check the internal temperature. You're looking for a final temperature of about 160 degrees. After resting, these will continue to cook up maybe about 5 degrees or so. So you can go ahead and pull them off at about 150 or 155 degrees. Most of the smoke they're going to capture during the early parts of the cycle, so make sure that you got a good smoke going towards the first 45 minutes or so of the smoking. So these have reached the desired temperature. They're sitting at about somewhere between 150 and 155 degrees. So we'll go ahead and pull them off. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cover these up, let them rest for, maybe about half an hour or so to let these rest. Let them and relax and reabsorb some of its juices. So we'll just loosely tent them with some aluminum foil. And like I said, let them reabsorb some of the juices, and they'll continue to cook for a while until the temperature stalls out. So these have been sitting for about half hour or so. So we go ahead and have a look at them. Pork loin's pretty intuitive. You always want to cut your meat across the grain, and so basically that just means cut these things, as you naturally would, just cut them crosswise. So we'll go ahead and take a few slices out of the middle. As you can see, the meat is still nice and juicy. I didn't succeed in getting much of a smoke ring on these. That's something that we have to work on. Try to get a little more intense smoke flavor into them. We'll go ahead and give this a try. Yeah, that is really good. And it's that easy. You just put these things up and let them cook till 160 degrees, let them rest, and they're good for several meals. Now, if you watch my videos, you'll see that very often I still got some hot coals going. I like to go ahead and throw some hot dogs or some sausages on there. We just throw those in the fridge and eat them throughout the week. So once again, we're a very small channel. Every single one of your subscriptions is greatly appreciated. The more you view our channels, the more successful we'll be at this. And feel free to share that with your friends. And like I always say, make sure you get out there and grill. Make some mistakes, learn from those mistakes, but most of all, have fun. Thank you very much for watching.